friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, I am so excited to share a flip through of all the projects I created using the Teach Story Kit from Ali Edwards. Most of these projects I created for my Story Kit Crush series, which part one would have been probably back in August or September, maybe even October of last year. And then the remaining videos were all filmed for my series this month. So what I want to do is push these to the side. We're going to go through each one of them so I can tell you what the story was about and where it's going to live inside of my albums. And then if there is a process video or not a process video, where you can find that. Now I will say, because we're going to go through these fairly quickly, and there are a handful of them that I did not film, I just made them for fun off camera for myself. I do have close-up images of those layouts and the journaling, if you want to read the journaling, available to see in the blog post that accompanies this video. To find a link to the blog post, you'll just want to go down into this video's description and then you'll be able to find it there. Okay, let's put all of this to the side. Now, before we get into the actual story projects, I want to bring up a layout that I did using the Teach Story Kit for my project life. One of the things I try to challenge myself to do with each of these story kits is to set aside enough product to tell 1 week's worth of stories in my Project Life album. This was one that I actually just put together recently on one of my live videos, and I'll be sure to link that one up at the eye if you want to see it come together. This is one that is actually about our week back in August, and that would have been the first week of Izzy going to public school. So this year she is in first grade, and for kindergarten I homeschooled her. So for first grade she was going into public school for the first time, and that seemed like the perfect time to use the Teach Story Kit to document that very first week of school. So in here, pretty much everything is self-explanatory. I did layer up some of the embellishments and I added a bunch of the puffy stickers on here, trying to use as many of those up as possible. Really love the muted down colors of the cards in this kit and the way that they look in this week in my project life. Okay, let me put this to the side and then we'll go through the story projects next. This first story is done in a 6x8 orientation and is one that will live inside of our family story album. The story itself is about teaching my daughter, or homeschooling my daughter, for her kindergarten year, and through teaching her some of the things that I learned about myself. The process video for this layout is one that is available exclusively over on my Patreon, which you can always find a link to Patreon in the video descriptions for all of my videos if you ever want to go and check out what Patreon is all about. So this one is over there and is one that I am definitely happy to have told. I tell a lot of stories about this time of year, or this time in our life, and I like having this one told from the perspective of what did that experience teach me about myself. The next layout in my Story Kit Crush series, at least for this particular month, is this story right here that I did inside of a traveler's notebook. This was, or is, one of my Studio Calico notebooks that I just have in my stash. For this one, I used the negative pieces of the chipboard as inspiration for my photo collage here, and then layered up some other embellishments to put in the middle for a title, and fussy cut some journaling spots out to add on the pattern paper side of this layout. There is a process video available for this one. I will link it up at the eye for you in case you want to go check it out, or you can also find it in the Teach Story Kit Crush playlist. This is just a traveler's notebook of random stories, so obviously this layout's going to live in this book and will just be fun when we happen upon it. The story is about the lead up to my daughter's first day of school. So the little details of the things that we did to get prepared and the actual like taking her to school for her first day, what that looked like. The next 4 layouts that I'm going to show you are ones that I completed back in August of last year. And I actually want to say that they were posted in October, potentially, of last year. All of them are included in my Teach Story Kit Crush playlist, and I will also link them up at the eye for the specific layouts as I'm talking about them, in case there's one in particular that you want to go and check out. This first one is a 9x12 layout that lives inside of my 12x12 story album. The story here is about going to college and getting a degree, which even though I'm not using it in the way that I thought I would be, how I am grateful for that experience, because the experience of going to school and going to college, getting a degree, has helped build confidence in me in my own life as an adult. The next layout that I created is this one here. It's a 3x8 page that lives outside of the page protector. And the inspiration for this one, or the story behind this one, is being given the opportunity to inspire other people and what that has meant for me. What I did is I created a collage of photos representing all of the different scrapbooking classes I've had the pleasure of teaching. So I've got 8 of them here. And then on the inside of this, I have some story or some journaling that tells the story of what it has meant to me to be able to teach classes on scrapbooking. I stamped out my title up here that says "While we teach, we learn," and added the pleather circle there at the top, and then made this interactive, which is why it lives outside of the page protector. This one is inside of our family album, which is sized at 6x8. I have a couple of 6x8 albums and a couple of 12x12 albums that I just add the stories in as they fit. So that is this one. The next story I have here is one that is ridiculously simple, but has a really good impact for storytelling. This one, I used 2 of the journaling cards, one that says currently learning, one that says currently teaching, to just journal about, I think, 5 of each, 5 different things that I am currently learning and 5 things that I was currently teaching back in September. So this would have been right as we were moving into our new house. Then I've got 2 pictures where I've added the pleather circles there, cut off a piece of the top and the bottom, and called this one done. There is a process video for this one, just like the other ones here, even though it's super simple. And that can hopefully serve as a reminder that you don't have to do things really crazy in order to do a layout. They can be just sticking a sticker onto a photo and calling it done. Or they can be really extravagant, like this next one I'm about to show you. The final layout with a process video that's available here on YouTube is this one here. This one, my inspiration came from all of these plastic book embellishments, which I decided would be really fun to layer up and stick them down across the center of a 12x12 layout, and then to put at the center point of the entire piece this pleather circle that says "Read so many books, so little time." That was my jumping off point for documenting my TBR list, or my to be read list. So these are all books that were or are on my bookshelf that I have not read. And then I journaled about why I wanted to read it and when I was hoping to read it underneath. The funny thing is looking at this now, and it's, I did this on September 4th, and it is currently, January 26th. Is the date today, and I have only read 1 of the books on here. So, if you have a really large goal for reading books and you didn't make it last year, you are not alone, because I certainly didn't make it either. But the exciting thing is now I have plans to read many of these books this year, so we're going to get to them for sure. The next set of layouts that I'm going to share with you are ones that do not have process videos. So these are ones that I created on my own time. I did not film them, but you will find close-up images of everything on the blog post. This one here is lessons learning, or at least that's where I took my inspiration for my story. And what I did is I sat down and I just kind of thought about 5 different things that I am currently learning now. So a lot of those stories earlier I did back in September of 2021, and now we're in January, towards the end of January 2022. So what I wanted to do was to get into the mindset of right now, what are some lessons that I am learning? And in particular, what lessons am I learning about taking breaks, resting, playing, that sort of thing. So that's what I journaled about here. And then what I did is I just went around and took some pictures around my house of things that represented what I was talking about in my journaling, created a small collage here, and then adhered that with my page to give a little bit of visual representation. Also, I like how this looks almost like a book, where this is the spine and this is the cover. I think that looks kind of cool. So I don't know if that wasn't necessarily on purpose, but I do like the way that it turned out. The next layout I have here is a 3x8 story, and this one is going to go inside of my daughter's 6x8 story album. I should also mention that this one is going inside of either my 6x8 family story album or one that I'm considering making for my own stories that will also be the 6x8 size. This one will go in my daughter's album. The story here was inspired by the chipboard that says, "I never imagined I'd be teaching this." And it's talking about how we recently went to the zoo and we were pointing at the different giraffes and we're like, oh, there's the boy and oh, there's the girl. And she asked us how we knew the difference between the boy and the girl giraffe. And, we're pretty open about stuff like that. So we went ahead and told her. And that's one of the things that I never imagined I'd be teaching this, but here we are, right? The funny thing is her response to it all was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it wasn't any big deal. It just was something, I guess, funny in for us personally. The next story I have here was inspired by the chipboard piece here that says, "A list of things you taught me." When I originally saw this chipboard and the idea of documenting a list of things that I have been taught by someone, that's what I was thinking of, right? Is someone. And immediately my mind went to making a list of the things that my mom has taught me. But I had a bunch of these book plastic acetate embellishments that I still needed to find a way to use them. So I thought, why not add them onto my layout as bullet points, which is something I love to do all the time. And instead of talking about things that my mom taught me, maybe I could talk about things that I learned from a book. So that made me think of Harry Potter. I grew up my whole life with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and why not tell a story about the things that they taught me through reading the books about them? So that's what this one's all about. This next layout is a 6x8 layout, and this one will go into either the family story album or inside of my personal story album if I decide to actually make that one. This one is about teaching and learning. So the quote here says, "Each of us had something to learn from the others and something to teach in return." And what I decided that this most represented was my coming back into the scrapbooking world after taking a long hiatus after graduating high school. So I graduated high school, stopped scrapbooking, and then didn't come back to it again for almost, I want to say probably 10 years later. And coming back into it, I feel like I had a lot to learn from other people. And the cool thing is the more I learned and the more I developed my scrapbooking style, the more I had to actually give and teach others as well. So what I did for this layout is I layered up this teach plastic title. I added one of the star puffy stickers and put the quote here up on foam tape, and then had this with my scrapbook desk with a couple of things on it to represent this is about scrapbooking. And then on the left-hand side here, I have a 3x8 divided pocket where I've added in 2 3x4 cards from the Storytelling Basics collection from Allie Edwards. These were specifically from the Stories by the Year kit or journal card set. So I used 2 of them, and did an alternating journaling of something I learned and something I've taught and something I learned and something I've taught for all 8 of those different spots. I really love using that as a prompt of the, learning, teaching, and taking the same story and telling it from 2 different perspectives or 2 different angles. I think that's a great way to get more story out of the whatever it is that you are telling. This next layout is one that I created in a 6x12 format, and this is going to live inside of my 12x12 story album. This one's about my daughter's preschool teacher, Miss Lindsay, and the bond that the 2 of them had. Miss Lindsay was one of Izzy's very first teachers and someone who she was really attached to. So when the stay-at-home order happened with COVID, Izzy would have been in the middle of her preschool program and was forced to come home, right? Which meant that she was no longer going to be around Miss Lindsay. Well, then as the weeks stretched into months and then it became spring and summer, Isabella would have graduated from the preschool program and gone into kindergarten at the public school. Typically, when the preschoolers graduated the program, they had this big long ceremony and received all kinds of things to commemorate the ending of their preschool years, but that wasn't going to happen. So Miss Lindsay put together a packet of gifts and a certificate that said that she graduated preschool and all this stuff, and came to our front porch at our house to deliver all of the goods. We felt comfortable enough with her and what she was doing, or the ways that she was staying safe during the time, to let Izzy go out and see her on the porch and take a picture with her. And that's really the last time that we've seen her. It's really, really sad, but I loved having the opportunity to document this story and talk about this teacher who was the very first that had a really positive impact on Izzy. And then last but certainly not least, I have this 12x12 layout, which again goes into my 12x12 story album, that was created only with the digital products. So at this point in time, I had the digitals available to me, but the physical kit had not arrived yet. So I dove in and decided to tell this one in a hybrid sort of layout. So what I did is I took a photo that I cropped to 12x12, so it's a full page photo. I added this currently learning stamp to my photo itself, so it is printed on there as I printed the photo. And then I took one of the journaling cards digitally, added my journaling onto it, printed it off, and then fussy cut out the journaling spots to add in a column down the side of my photo. I then added these stars on here, which I must have at this point, maybe I had printed this off and then got the kit in the mail, because the glitter stars are from the kit. So I used the glitter stars from the kit and layered those next to my journaling, and then added 1 through 6 on there to specify 6 different things that I was currently learning. And this story was about photography. So I was taking the Magic of Moments class that Lisa Varshine taught in the Allie Edwards classroom, and talked a little bit about the things that I was learning about photography in that class. All right, friends, that concludes my project flip through for the Teach Story Kit from Allie Edwards. Out of the one story kit, or the one packet of supplies, plus a couple of add-ons from that particular kit theme, I was able to tell a total of 12 different stories and a week of project life. That is a lot of stories that this kit sparked for me over the course of the last, 5 or so months. I hope that watching this has helped you to come up with some ideas for stories that you might want to tell with this kit, or design ideas for stories that you might want to tell in the months to come. If you enjoyed seeing all of the layouts here, I would love a thumbs up on this video down below, and also be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can catch all of my future crafty videos. I have another video that's going to go live today that will be this exact same format, a flip through of all the completed projects, but using the Care Story Kit. So if you have not checked that one out yet and you have the Care Story Kit, definitely make sure to jump over to that one and see all the layouts that Care inspired. I'm going to be back next month crushing more story kits. I'm going to be focusing on the Listen story kit on Mondays, so that will be my old story kit series. And then on Fridays, I'm going to be working through the Begin story kit from Ali Edwards, which was just released in January of 2022. So hopefully I'll see you back here for those. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend ahead, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.